Okay, so number two. So number one was, where are you attracting money? Where are you repelling it? What is your relationship to money? Number two is loss prevention. So what do I mean by loss prevention? Every dollar you prevent from leaving is a dollar you don't have to make. It directly goes back to your bottom line. So what do I mean by a dollar leaving? That could be a client who you save from leaving, from quitting. It could be time wasted. So I get asked pretty much on, I'd say 80% of the podcast, 80% of the podcast I'm interviewed on as a guest. They ask, if they've done any research, they ask me how I get so much done in a day and how I'm so productive. And I literally, people don't believe me. I say, I don't waste any time. And they're like, oh, I don't waste any time either. And I say, well, do you want to do this on air? Because I guarantee you I can go through what you did all day and find places where you wasted time and you weren't realizing you were wasting time. There is also loss prevention in your business through non-compliance. So I'll give you an example from an actual client of ours. This is right before COVID, and we were working with an orthodontist practice. And they hired us to generate leads of new patients, which we were doing. We were making the phone ring. I had a trackable phone number in our ads. I could see the phone calls that were coming in. And end of 30 days, hey, we don't think this is working. We think we should cancel it. You know, you built it, it's up, it's running, but it's not making us any money. We're not getting enough patients. And I said, okay, well, here's every single phone call you've got. How many patients did you get? I can't see your CRM software. And they said, okay, this is how many patients we got. And I said, wow, that number's really low. You're right. Agree with the objection. You're really right. That number's way too low. It should be a lot higher than that. Let me ask you a question. Who's answering the phone when they call? Oh, that's Betty at the front desk. What is Betty saying? I don't know, whatever she says. Okay, and if they leave a message, when does Betty call them back? When Betty gets a chance. When does Betty get a chance to call them back? Well, sometimes she does her calls on Friday afternoon when she's got time. She doesn't always have time. Like, so someone could call in on Monday, leave you a message saying they want to make an appointment to come get a smile consultation, and they might not get a call back till Friday or the following week. Is that true? Can we look at the caller ID logs? Yes, that is possible. So do you think that person is sitting there waiting for Betty to call them back, or do you think they moved on to another orthodontist? And then when Betty takes the call or actually calls, what is she saying to them? I literally ended up, Betty refused to record her phone calls. I told them that they needed a new Betty. But I wrote a script for Betty to follow for the next month. And I said, if you follow this script, it will work. 60 days later, we met again. The numbers still hadn't moved. Betty, are you following the script? Not really. I said, the leads aren't any good. It's not working. The script shouldn't make that big a difference. You know, if they're interested, they should be interested. I said, okay, here's what we're gonna do for the next 30 days. Forward your phone to me. I will take every phone call. I will make every follow-up phone call. I made the phone calls myself. What do you think happened to their new patient numbers? Bob is giving me a way up, thumbs up sign. Exactly. I followed the script exactly because I wrote it. And magically, all of a sudden, they were booking appointments like crazy. I said, first 2 months, you wasted a ton of money. You generated the leads and refused to follow up and refused to follow the process. You were non-compliant and money left. Not only did you spend the money to pay us, not only did you pay the ad spend to generate the lead, but that money walked out the door because they went to another practice. Money leaves because you allow customers to leave. One of my favorite lines from the movie Boiler Room, which is about a stock scam, was from Ben Affleck, who said, either you sell the customer some stock or the client sells you on why they can't. The only question is who is going to close, you or them. So if you let them leave or you let them not buy, they made the sale, not you. And then there's actual theft or loss or breakage. Restaurants literally have a line item in their budget for how many dishes are going to get broken and how many meals are going to walk out the back door of their staff, no matter how wonderful and loyal and honest they are. They're going to, when they order their own dinner, they're going to order an extra one. The cook's going to make an extra one for their friends. They literally have it in their budget of, hey, we may experience, usually it's 10 to 20% loss every month. And no matter how much our employees say they love us, dishes get broken, things go missing, it just happens. So where are you letting money leave? Number 3 is split testing. So what are you testing in your business, in your marketing, to see what works better? Are you testing email versus direct mail? I have a friend, Kevin, who is an A-list copywriter, and one of his best techniques is called the paper email. He literally, if he has sent someone an email and they haven't replied, he prints the email and sends it FedEx. And he says, you didn't reply to my email, so I'm mailing it to you. And almost 85% of, I forget the exact number, but it's over 80% of the people who get his FedEx email suddenly reply. And Bob, you don't need to take pictures of the screen. I will give you the slides. And that anybody, you can have them. Are you testing images in your advertising versus video? In some markets, still images work better. In other markets, video ads work better. If you're running image ads, how many images are you testing against each other? Are you testing 1? Are you testing 5? Are you testing 10? Are you testing 20? When we run Facebook ads for clients, sometimes we run up to 250 different split tests. We test image, we test body copy, we test subject line, we test video, we test headlines, we test target markets, all to get the best price at best results at the lowest cost. Because you don't know what you don't know. Before we create any campaign, before we launch it, I will write down what I think the winning ad or the winning message is going to be. And even though we've run 30 million prospects, generated 30 million prospects on Facebook, I'm wrong on a regular basis. I think I know what they'll respond to, and then I'm surprised by what actually wins. We just ran a round of split testing for a client in the, I guess I would call it the weight loss space. And the ad I thought was going to win was a attractive young woman holding a scale up was the image, and then headline, body copy, all the other stuff. That ad did not win. The ad that won was of an older woman sitting in front of a fan sweating. Because it turns out that the people responding to our ad, we're not the 20 to 30-year-old attractive young women. It was the women in their 50s or higher dealing with menopause and had hormonal related sudden weight gain. They didn't know they were gaining weight because of a hormone imbalance due to menopause. They were very frustrated. Traditional weight loss methods weren't working. I would never have guessed any of that. So we changed the image, we changed the target market, we changed the age we were going after, and it worked. It was literally like triple the response. So what are you testing in your business? You should be testing something on a regular basis. And if you're not doing any marketing to test, why not? And it doesn't have to be Facebook ads or paid marketing. So for example, we do a lot of work on LinkedIn. Well, what could you test on LinkedIn? I could test the message I send in my connection request. I could test the subject line of the follow-up message I sent. I could test the body copy in the message. I could test the target market I'm going after. I could run a whole bunch of different LinkedIn tests designed to find which marketing message on LinkedIn works the best. And then one of the biggest places we see people repel or attract money is in their follow-up. So number 4 is follow-up. Let's assume that you've done some type of marketing and you generated a lead. Somebody raised their hand and said they were interested. The fish bit on your bait. So what happens next? They gave you their contact information. They said yes to the next step. That might be reading an ebook, watching a video, booking a consultation, whatever it is. What are you doing before they get that step? What are you doing during that step? And what are you doing after that step? So for example, a lot of our marketing for financial advisors and financial service professionals is designed to generate meetings. They want to sit in front of a potential client that they can work with. But what we find is a lot of them, other than sending a confirmation of the meeting, hey, thanks so much, we'll see you Tuesday at 4. That's it. Well, I was guilty of this. In our marketing company, when someone booked an appointment with us, other than the confirmation, and I teach it, I didn't have any follow-up. Then we would have the meeting, and at the end of it, unless they booked another meeting, there was no follow-up. And then there's lots of follow-up if they bought. There wasn't any follow-up if they didn't buy. So we added 3 follow-up sequences. There's the pre-meeting sequence that indoctrinates them as to what's going to happen on the meeting, who we are, why they should be excited to talk to us, who we work with, what types of services we offer, some case studies. So they're literally excited to get to the meeting and they actually show up, because we had people not show. We also found that that first 2 minutes of that meeting was totally different. We no longer needed who you are, what you do, how long you've been doing it, why am I talking to you? We didn't need the first meeting. We skipped and went straight to the fact find. And then what we found was when they first got on the call, they were really excited. Like, I can't believe I get to talk to you guys. It had changed the positioning. We were no longer pursuing them for the business. They were hoping they would get to work with us. It changed the dynamic. And then after the meeting, if they didn't buy or if they needed a second meeting, we then had built a follow-up sequence in between the first and second meetings, talking about what we were going to go over on the second meeting, talking about what they needed to find out to make a decision, giving them examples of other people in their industry that had been successful doing our services. So we took our close rate up over 90%. And we increased our show up rate by another 30% for people actually showing up for the first meeting. And it cost us nothing to do. Because an email autoresponder software, whether it's Infusionsoft or MailChimp or Aweber or Constant Contact or any of those, can deliver it. This is an example from a larger business that literally you all have heard of, so I won't give you the name, but they sell hearing aids nationwide. 15% of the people who came in to the store to get their free hearing test left without buying, but they came back within the next 6 months and bought. 5% came back in 12 months. So 20% of the people who leave buy a hearing aid in the next year. By implementing a drip follow-up sequence on every 100 appointments, they were losing $120,000 in sales of the 20% who left without buying. And that's per store. And this is a national company. They have 1,000 locations. They were literally letting $48 million walk out the door. And by implementing a follow-up drip system, in their case, it's a drip sequence that lasts for 12 months, they were able to recapture that money. Because those people were going somewhere else 6 to 12 months later to buy a hearing aid because they had forgotten about the place they went. So this is really, really important. It is not your customer's job to remember you. It is not your prospect's job to remember you. It is your job to make sure they cannot forget you. And the best way to do that is through relentless, nonstop follow-up. Worst case scenario, someone says, I'm good. I opt out of your list. Leave me alone. They weren't going to buy anyway. That's fine. Otherwise, you should keep dripping on them until they beg you to stop. I had a personal issue when I first got into financial services where my branch manager told me I had to go meet with every single person I knew to practice my presentation. And I met with some friends who were a few years older than me who were married. And I gave them the presentation. They gave me some feedback with my branch manager sitting there. He then, on every appointment where I got to practice, then pushed for a sale. Well, hey, you heard the pitch. Let's buy some insurance. Let's buy some investment. Let's do something. I told him with these, I started telling him, don't do that. I don't want these people mad at me. They're my friends. They're my family. Well, a couple of years later, in this particular instance, the husband got testicular cancer that spread and died. He's literally 2 years older than me. And his wife, my wife and I both went to high school with, and we're friends with them, and both of them. And his wife said, how come you didn't sell us life insurance? You know, we didn't have any. And she had significant financial issues when he passed away, the 2 little kids. And I said, well, we did the practice presentation, but you know, you never asked me for anything. She's like, well, I didn't know that you were serious because you told your branch manager to let it go. I didn't think you wanted to help us. Like, why didn't you follow up with us without him there? Like, I could have made a huge difference in those kids' life and in her life had I kept dripping. If you believe in what you do and that it helps people, you have Jay Abraham says you have a moral obligation to do everything humanly possible to get them to take advantage of what you offer. So where does your follow-up drop off? Or do you not have any? In which case we need to start today. So I'm going to put you back in breakouts and you're going to work on these 3 things. Where are you letting money leave right now? You don't have to do all 3. Depending on time, you can pick one. What's most important? Where are you letting money leave right now? What are you testing in your business? And where does your follow-up drop off? So everybody get the assignment. Awesome. I'm going to assume that's a yes.